Welcome to my messy studio, everyone. My name is Mark, and I'm an artist who uses fountain pens to make art. And in this video, I'm going to give you some advice on what to avoid when buying a fountain pen. Deciding what pen to buy can be a frustrating experience for the artist, since the choices are vast and many pen reviews are oriented around the needs of writers and collectors. Having experienced this frustration personally, and having made a very large number of foolish pen purchases, my goal here is to provide some general criteria for what to avoid. If you're looking for specific pen recommendations, I have plenty of videos like that on my channel. But my goal here is to point out general red flags, which will equip you to look at any pen and make your own carefully considered purchasing decisions. Let's get started. If you're an artist, chances are you'll be changing inks often and filling your pen with waterproof inks. In both cases, a pen that's easy to clean is absolutely essential. A number of things make a pen difficult to clean, and the most obvious are pens with integrated nibs that are built into a pen and cannot be removed. Such pens were more common in the 1970s. Here is a vintage Pilot Elite and a Kaweco Sport, for example. But they're still available today in modern versions of the Pilot Elite and other pens such as the Waterman Careen. Such pens take excessive flushing to get clean, and as such are not suitable for switching inks often. But they're also very difficult to unclog if used with waterproof inks. Should such pens be avoided entirely? No. Vintage pens such as these can be excellent, which is why I have so many of them. But they should only be used with safe, water-soluble inks, which makes them far less useful to the artist. While some nibs are entirely fixed in place, there are a category of nibs which I call semi-integrated, in that while the nib can be pulled out, the feed is not designed to be. Such systems can be found in Lamy pens such as the Safari, and some of the lower-end pens made by Platinum, such as the Preppy. While easier to clean than fully integrated nibs, such pens are still a pain in the butt to clean fully, and should not be used with waterproof inks. Fortunately, the overwhelming majority of pens nowadays use nibs that are fitted into housing units, which in almost all cases can be unscrewed out of the pen, taken apart, and fully cleaned. Sometimes these nibs are tightly fitted, requiring some soaking in hot water and a rubber grip to pull out. But once the housing unit is disassembled, everything is a cinch to clean. However, the nib and feed are not the only parts of a pen that require cleaning, and that leads seamlessly to red flag number 2. Cartridge converter pens are, as a rule, the easiest pens to maintain, having no moving parts other than an easily replaceable converter. But their biggest advantage is their ease of cleaning, since you can unscrew the section and then use a rubber syringe, like this one, to flush ink from the pen. This allows you to give the pen a full cleaning even without taking the nib and feed out of the housing unit, and also means that I can switch inks in just a few minutes. However, when you're dealing with a pen with a built-in filling system, either a piston filler like this one or a vacuum filler like this one, you still want a grip section that unscrews, because it'll give you not only easy access to the back of the nib and feed, but also inside the barrel, making cleaning considerably easier. This is why this inexpensive pen, the Aspine V126, is so much better for artists than this pen, the very expensive Pilot Custom 823. Both are vacuum filling pens, but the section of the V126 unscrews, giving me access to the inside of the barrel, whereas the section on the Pilot 823 does not. That means that this pen can be cleaned thoroughly in minutes, whereas this pen requires me to fill it and flush it with water repeatedly, and even then, it won't be fully clean. This pen I wouldn't hesitate to fill with waterproof ink, while this pen is for water-soluble inks only. Many pens with built-in filling systems can be unscrewed from the back using a specialized wrench like this one. While this is a very useful feature which allows for deep cleaning of the barrel, it should not be relied on as a regular way of cleaning the pen. At times, reassembly can be tricky, but the main issue is that repeatedly unscrewing the back puts stress on the pen, especially if you're dealing with metal on plastic threads, which is often the case. Is the inability to unscrew the section a complete deal breaker? No, some of my favorite pens, such as the TWSBI Eco, don't have unscrewable grips. But these are pens that I don't switch inks with often because they are a pain to fully clean. This is a particularly grievous pet peeve of mine because nothing ruins the experience of using an otherwise well-performing pen than a slippery grip section. It forces you to grip harder to retain control and leads to hand strain even after a short drawing section. How can you tell a grip section is slippery without actually holding the pen? Sometimes you can't and have to rely on reviews, but certain materials and finishes are almost guaranteed to be slippery. The biggest culprits are pens with polished metal grip sections. As you can see, I'm guilty of buying such pens on occasion because they often have some kind of unique property I'm looking for, such as this Duke 600 with a really neat Fude nib and overfeed system. But usually I have to make sure that the grip section has some kind of grippy texture, like the excellent micro knurling on this Gravitas pocket pen. Now, you can roughen up the grip on a metal pen, such as I did with this Hongdian M2 brass, where I removed the lacquer and applied a patina. But that's an extra step that many of you out there are probably not willing to take. Other than polished metal and anodized aluminum, you're pretty much safe, since the polished plastic most pens are made from has a decent tackiness to it. But for my money, the best grips come from ebonite, a material that used to be very common, but nowadays isn't. Check out my review of this Asvine J16, a modern ebonite pen, for more information on this really neat material. Quite a few pens featured this highly irritating design element, a drastic jump in width from the grip section to the barrel. Sometimes it's because the designer wanted the cap to sit perfectly flush with the barrel, as is the case with this pen made by Bastian. Sometimes it's to accommodate the additional width needed to release the vacuum in a vacuum filler, like the TWSBI 700R. Or sometimes it's who the hell knows why, like in this Opus 88 Mini. This is something that might not bother people who write with their pens, but if you're an artist with a tendency to slide your fingers up and down the pen from the grip section to the barrel in order to create different kinds of pen strokes, this is a huge deal breaker. A good pen should disappear into your hand and become an extension of it, doing exactly what you want. A pen with a sharp step-up will never do that disappearing act and will make its irritating presence known each time your fingers catch on it. There are other design flaws in pens that I also find irritating, no surprise, such as short grip sections or threads that are too high profile and sharp and cut into the fingers. But these things I can live with so long as the pen performs well. A sharp step-up, on the other hand, is a deal breaker. This used to be a controversial hot take, but I think nowadays it's not uncommon to hear some version of this opinion in the fountain pen forums. Here it is. Unless you're in the market for a pen with a flexible nib, or are looking to buy a status symbol, there's no reason to purchase a pen with a gold nib. There are plenty of manufacturers making high-quality steel nibs that are just as good as their gold counterparts. And with the skyrocketing price of gold these days, spending an additional $150 for a gold nib is an absurd extravagance. If you have that kind of money burning a hole in your pocket, there are far better ways of blowing it on art supplies that are justifiably expensive. Sable brushes, handmade watercolor papers, and high-end paints, so on and so forth. The only exception is if you're looking for a pen with a flexible nib. While there are a number of excellent affordable steel flex nibs out there, the Ultra Flex nib from Fountain Pen Revolution, for example, the very best flex nibs are still made from gold, and yes, they get very pricey. Whether they're worth it is a personal question. For someone like me who has a drawing style that benefits from precise control over line width, yes, they're worth it. But if you don't need line variation from a pen, avoid pens with gold nibs, unless you're in the market for jewelry, in which case get yourself a necklace or even better, a gold tooth. I hope you found my 5 red flags useful and that they help you with your fountain pen purchases. However, I find that such videos intended for entry-level users are often viewed by experienced pen aficionados. So if that's you, what are your favorite red flags? Let us know in the comments section. Thank you so much for watching, and see you back in my messy studio very soon. Bye for now.